Hello everyone and welcome to the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. On today's episode we're working with Topaz Studio 2. I'm starting out in Lightroom, but you could start out right in Topaz Studio 2 as well. Today we're going to be working with textures. It's going to be a great show, I believe, because what you're going to learn today is how to work with blend modes. We're going to use some layer masking, and you're going to learn a lot of nice tips and tricks. So stay with this tutorial the whole way through because you're going to pick up a lot of helpful information along the way. So without any further ado, let's start texturing. If you're starting out in Topaz Studio 2, I would highly recommend that you duplicate your background layer, which I've already done here, so you can work non-destructively. That's very important, so you're not actually working on the actual image itself. So you're protecting that. Then we'll come up to Filter and we'll go to Topaz Studio 2 and we'll launch it. And once we're inside of Topaz Studio 2, we're going to come up here to Add Filter and come to the very bottom where it says Texture. Now inside of the texture filter, you'll see you have all these different textures in here that you can pick from. Now I've already worked on this image before, so I kind of know what textures I'm going to work with, but you can take your time and just click through all these different textures. And texturing takes some time because you want to find that right perfect texture for your image. So have fun and play with that, okay? But I know which texture I want. And I'll show you how to search for that texture if you know what it is. But before I do that, I want to point this out to you. See where it says group? Right now it's on all. You can narrow that down to borders or custom, dust and scratches, double exposures, light leaks, and textures. So that's kind of nice. And also category. These are where your textures live. Some of these textures came with Topaz Studio 2. And if you install your own textures, they're going to live in here as well. All right, so I'm going to click on search right here and type the name of the texture I'm looking for. It's one, I believe it's a Hazel Meredith texture. She has some great textures, by the way, and you get a lot of her textures free with Topaz Studio 2. So let's just type bottle brush. That was the name of the texture I'm looking for, and I believe it's this one right here. So I'm going to click on that, and there you see it. Now, it's in the normal blend mode. All right, and now you'll notice the opacity here. If I take it the whole way up, you can actually see the texture itself. So it's a really nice texture. And then we could use it just in the normal blend mode if we wanted to, like we could pull it back to here, and then I could mask out areas that I didn't want it on. But I believe I use the soft light blend mode, which is right here. And let's take that opacity and pull it way up. Blend modes are very important when you're texturing, and I really like the soft light blend mode. And also, by the way, and I've showed you this in the past if you've watched some of my tutorials, if you hover over these blend modes, you'll actually see the effect that you're going to get, which is really nice. So play with those blend modes. It's very important. The next thing we want to do is come up to the layer mask right here and click on that. And why isn't it working? Sometimes I think it's a bug. Let me X out of this and click on this again and click on our layer mask. There it is. Little bug, I guess. So anyway, so we're going to get a brush, and I want to take some off of this leaf here and a little bit off her hand, not much. So I'm just going to take this transparency and move it to the right. I'm not going to make it totally white, but I'm just going to make it like a mid-gray tone and just, paint it off of this leaf here. I have the edge wear on my brush. Don't have to be that perfect here when you're painting, right like that. And now I may just take this up a little higher and just paint a little bit off of the hand right here. I have texture on the whole image, but it's very important on your main subjects to kind of ease off on the textures a little bit. That's a really good tip for you. You don't want to just apply texture strong everywhere. So something like that. You want the image to make sense with the texture. So it's got to all kind of meld together in a nice little mix. And that looks pretty good right there. Next, we're going to add another texture. So come up to Add Filter and down to Texture again. This texture is found in the Borders group. So you can come right here and click on Borders. And let's see, which one did I use? I used Border Fade 1, so let me but here's all your borders in here. I'm going to find it quick by clicking Search and type Border Fade 1. And let's see, Border Fade 1, right here. So There it is right there. And your borders come in a multiply blend mode, which is cool. So generally when you do a border, you will generally use a multiply blend mode. So it's already done for you. Topaz have helped us out in that regard, which is really nice. And so let's go ahead and take our opacity and see where we want it to go. The opacity defaults at around 50%, so we can take it up higher. And I do want a decent amount of that border in there, so maybe somewhere right around, 75, 76%, somewhere right around there. We can always come back and readjust these things. And by the way, let's come down here. You can flip these horizontally. You can flip them vertically. So play around with those and get that looking just the way you like it. You can edit them. You can adjust the size of these if you click on edit. I really don't have to on here. It's looking really good. You can invert it, so you can make it light on the edges and dark in the center. But in our case, we want it just the way it is here. You can reset it here. And let's go to brightness. Now you can adjust the brightness. You can make the brightness lighter. See that? Or you can darken it up, depending what you're looking for. But this is where you really have fun and you really play and you take your time and you get it just right. And that looks good right there. You can adjust the contrast of it. You can make it really dark. See, you might want that kind of look, and that looks kind of cool in this image here. So the key here always, as I always say, is experimentation. All right. So I'm going to say, I might ease it off a little bit, maybe somewhere right around there. And already this image is looking really cool to me. You can bump up its detail like this or take its detail back. So you got a lot of room to play. The Topaz texture filter is the best in the business, in my opinion. You can do so much with it. And I might just bump that detail up just a little bit like that. That's looking really cool. I don't have to worry about saturation because this is, there just might be a little bit of saturation in there. Let me take the saturation, move it to the right, and you'll see, yeah, there is a little bit of saturation. See that yellow and green in there? So I think I'm just going to take that saturation and take it off. And by the way, you can also add extra color to it. You can pull this saturation off and go to color strength and pull this up and add your own color in there, which is kind of fun too. So don't forget this one too. I don't think I'm going to mess with that one. Although that little bit of warmth in there doesn't look bad, but that's way too much strength. So let me pull it back. So I could add a little bit of that in there. And that's not bad. Let me pull the color strength off. That's without it. That's with a little bit of it, and let's tweak it a little bit here. Yeah, maybe something like that. That looks pretty cool. And I'm not going to, I don't think I'm going to use a layer mask and take any off because I think it's okay everywhere. Because you can see it's white here, so there's not much happening in this section of the image, and it's really nice. So I don't have to worry about that. We're going to add another texture filter, so we're going to come up here and add filter, come back to texture. And this time we're going to go into the group and we're going to light leaks. And they give you a whole bunch of light leaks here. So let's click on light leaks. And I'm trying to remember which one I used here. I used one called Orange Glow. Again, I could type it in there and I'll probably end up doing that. But it's right here. But you can just click on these like this. Like there's a light leak. See how cool and creative you can get here. But that's kind of fun there. In fact, yeah, I might use that, actually. So, like, if we like this one, it's in the normal blend mode, and if I turn the opacity all the way up, you can see that's what that texture looks like. And if I pull it back, I can just add a little bit of it, or I can come here, again, to the blend mode. And I believe the blend mode I was using was screen on these light leaks. And screen's a really good one for light leaks. So that's something you're really going to learn in this video, is all about these blend modes, how they interact with your images. See how screen works really nice. The black fades off, but the light tones come through. So that's kind of fun. I think I'm going to still stick with my Orange Glow, which was right here, because I love the way that was going. See, it gives me this nice little streaky look coming up through here, so that's kind of fun. And I am still in the screen blend mode. So let me see. Do I want to take its opacity and take it up more? Maybe just a little bit. Maybe somewhere right around in there, and that's looking pretty cool. And I like what's happening in the overall image, so I don't think I really need to mask anything off here. I'm pretty happy with it. So let's let's click this eyeball right here on texture. Remember, you have these little eyes here. You can click them so you can see it without that texture and with that texture. But I like it. I think it's looking nice. By the way, if you click anywhere on this canvas here, you can see the before and after. So I'm really loving the way this image is going. The next texture we're going to add is going to be one called Ancient Walls. So let's come up here to Add Filter, come down to Texture. Let's type in the search, click on search, and I'll type in Ancient Walls. And I think it is this guy right here. Okay. So let's click on this one, and that's looking nice. And I used a soft light blend mode on this. So let's just hover through some of these blend modes just so you can see. There's dissolve, there's darken, and as you can see, they all interact a little bit differently. But the good ones for textures are multiply, color burn, lighten, screen. Color dodge is always a good one. Linear dodge. Overlay is great, as well as soft light. And see, overlay is a little bit stronger. These are both contrasting type blend modes here, and overlay is a little bit stronger than soft light. So I chose soft light on this one, and I think that's looking really, really good. So I'm going to click on soft light, and then I'm going to come and I'm going to play with these adjustments here. Now, I'm going to also layer mask off some off the leaf here and off her hand here a little bit, keep some of that grunginess down, and I may pull the opacity back here a little bit. Right now I'm at 50%. Let's raise it up a little bit more. Or I might even, you know what? I might even pull it up a little bit. That's 50. Maybe around. Let's start out at 57. We can always change our minds. We can come back and adjust any of these textures that we want to as well later if we need to. So let's leave it right there for now. And remember, we can flip them. We can flip it. And I recommend trying the flip just to see. You might say, you know what? It looks better that way or it looks better that way. I like it there. And let's flip it vertically. Can you see what's happening when I flip it? And I'm going to keep it this way. You can invert it. And sometimes an inversion is good too. So play with this stuff. But look at the power inside of this Topaz Studio 2 texture filter. It's amazing. You just don't find this power everywhere in filters. So let's play with its brightness. We can lighten it up a little bit. We can darken it up, depending what mood we're in, you know. But I think it looks pretty good right where it was. So you can just double click brightness and get it right back where it was. You can bump its contrast up or pull its contrast back a little bit. Now when you pull the contrast up, see how it brings some of that detail out? You also have a detail slider. But yeah, it's pretty good right where it was. So I'm going to double click contrast, but play. I always play with these. And detail, do I want to pull some more detail up in it? I might want to pull a little bit of detail. And again, you can go back to the left. You can take all the detail out, depending what look you're looking for. So just really play with it and get it to the point where you think, yes, that is making me happy. I like it. And I might just pull a little extra detail up in it. Now we have the saturation here, so let's pull the saturation. There's not much color in here, but let's pull the saturation to the right and see if there is any color. There's a little bit of warm tones in here. I don't know if you can see that, or I could pull that off. And actually, I might pull that up a little bit. That little bit extra warmth in there kind of looks pretty nice. And don't forget, I could add some more color here if I wanted to with color strength. It's like a secondary color that you can add. So if I pull this up, see, and then I can run through the different tints for that color and just, you know, play with it and get it to look any way you like. And actually, I might add a little bit of that in there right there. Let's click on the canvas here. There's the before and there's the after. Now let's come up to our opacity here and give it more opacity. And you might say, I like it. That looks really cool. And it does look, it's very grungy. I agree. But hey, this is art, right? And it's your world, as Bob Ross would always say. It's your world. You can do in this world whatever you want. You want it grungy, make it grungy. You don't want it grungy, take the grunge off. It's up to you. There are no police here telling you you can't do that. We're going to throw you in jail for that. You do what you want. You're the artist. You have a license. You can do what you want. So I'm going to think maybe right around there looks pretty cool. Now let's click this eye right here. So here's our before. that texture, and here's our after. Now let's click on the canvas. Here's before everything, and here's after everything. And there's just a couple more things we want to do, and we'll be done. One thing we definitely need to do is take a little bit of the last texture we did off the hand and the leaf here a little bit. So let's right click this first texture where we did some layer masking. Right click it, and let's copy that mask. And let's come up here to this layer mask and right click it, and let's say paste. And just like that, we've removed, so we didn't have to paint again, so we saved ourselves a step. I'm all about saving time. That's why I like shortcuts. I like copying things and pasting. Very cool. It'll really help you out, and it makes you happy that you got some more time to do what you want to do. Although this is what I really love doing, but I can get on to my next image. All right. So, and remember, we can come back and revisit these, and it's a good idea to name these layers right here. And let's see. If you right click, you can click rename and give it a new name. Yeah. But let's find the layer that we had the light leak on, and we can just click the eyeballs. Well, that was okay. That was the border. I think it's this one, right? Yeah, it's this one right here. So what if I wanted to, after I've added the other texture, what if I wanted to come back and revisit the light leak here, and let's give it some more. Yeah, and I might just want to bump that up a little bit. So remember, you can come back, tweak things a bit, and get it looking just the way you want it to look. Whoops, I feel I'm still a little too much. Right there. I think that looks pretty cool. The last thing I want to do is add a precision detail just to pump up a little bit of detail in this image here. And precision detail is right here. And what did I do? I took the small details and I bumped up the small details a little bit. See that, how we can pull a lot of detail out of there. But I don't want to go crazy. I just want to pull a little bit of that detail out. Let's click the eyeball so you can see before and after. See, it just sharpens it up a bit. Okay. And that might be too much. I'm just going to... Oh, I'm on the texture layer. What the heck am I doing? I clicked on the wrong layer. Learn from my mistakes. Watch where you're clicking. Okay. So the opacity, I want to pull that back. Pull it up the whole way. Okay. So I might just pull it back a little bit. Let me go back here and make sure I didn't pull this down too far. And because I think I ended up pulling on that, and it was like, no, you don't want to do that. Okay. Right there. I'm happy with that. Okay, back to precision detail. So I pulled up a little bit of small detail. Now I pulled down medium detail. So you can pull medium detail up, or you can take medium detail and go to the left, which will soften up the medium detail. I love this precision detail filter. It's really awesome. So I'm bumping up the small details, but pulling back the medium details just a little bit. And the large details I didn't touch. And then I just sharpened the image up just a little bit, just to put a little overall sharpening in it. Not much, just a little bit. And yeah, and this is looking good right here. I was just looking at the hand here and wondering if it was too light compared to the rest of the image, but I think it's okay. If I felt it was too light, I'll just show you a little trick. You can come up here to, let's say it is just slightly light. Click Add Filter, go to a basic adjustment right here. And let's go and just pull the exposure back and just be watching the hand. Don't worry about the rest of the image. Just watch the hand right there. And something like, you know, maybe right around there. And then let's come up to the layer mask, click on the layer mask, and click these three dots right here and click invert. That shuts the adjustment off. And now we'll get a brush and we will simply paint with white paint. I'm going to take it the whole way up and see what size my brush is. That's a good size. I'm just going to paint on the hand right here. The fingers of the hand, actually, which technically it is the hand, right? Fingers are part of the hand, Dave. Okay. Well, that's way too dark for sure. So let's just come up to basic adjustment and take this and bump it up now. And now we can adjust it because we have the layer mask just protecting the rest of the image, so we can just get it looking. See, here's 0 right here. And so we're just going to take it back a little bit just to darken it up. So we want our eyes coming to this leaf right here. And there we go. And if we're happy with everything and we're all done, all we have to do is come and click. If you're going back to Photoshop, just click accept, and that'll bring you right back into Photoshop. And there's our image. So we can take a look at, let's see, here's what we just made. So let's click this. Here's the before and here's the after. So really nice. And if you felt you went too strong and you're in Photoshop here, you can take this opacity and just ease this back a little bit. Okay, so that's another reason I like to work with Photoshop, because once I get this back into Photoshop, if I felt I was a little too heavy-handed, I could pull this opacity back a little bit. And I might just a little bit right there. And again, so here's our before and here's our after. So pretty cool. I love working with textures. It's very creative, it's very artistic, and it's a heck of a lot of fun. You need to give it a try. I hope you enjoyed this one. I love working with textures, and Topaz Studio 2 makes working with textures a breeze. Textures are really kind of challenging. Take your time, allot yourself a little bit of time when you're going to work on a texture, and just have fun. And like I said, play with those blend modes, do layer masking, and enjoy yourselves and make some beautiful art. Well, thank you very much for joining me today in the Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly. And before I go, I want to say, if you like this video, please like and share it with your friends. And also, if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and click the bell notification icon. I really appreciate each and every one of you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. It really helps me out a lot. And also, please leave questions and comments in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Again, thanks for joining me today, and I will see each and every one right here next time. But until then, remember, happy editing.